Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
I am Andrew Stretch, your middle editor.
I am Austin Souther, your not editor.
It is weird when there isn't someone between you and me, Stretch.
Yeah. There used to be a lot more. I had that realization as I was sitting here thinking, okay, I've got at least two people before I've got to figure out how I'm going to call myself. And then I looked around the call and went, nope, go time.
It's go time.
Yeah, I saw that mental pause there. Like deer in the headlights.
So for this week's episode, we're doing a kind of just a talk all, tell all, dissect all of the Marvel Rivals closed beta, or as our friends across the pond say, beta. It's a new like Overwatch hero shooter, but instead of Tracer, you play a Star-Lord. There's a lot of similarities between the two, kind of, but it's all in the Marvel universe with Marvel characters. You probably have seen a trailer during one of the summer, shows of some kind. And the closed beta is going on right now. Stretch and I have been playing this week, and Austin, you played it during Summer Game Fest, right?
Yep, I did. Yeah. I went against a bunch of playtesters because my appointment was very late. Apparently they were just there on the other side of the wall. I didn't see anybody, but I played with people apparently.
I mean, I'd hope so. This is a 6v6 shooter.
Yes.
Be sad to play it alone in a lobby, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of today's episode. There are codes kind of out and about right now. If you have a friend that has a code, there's a chance that they might have a code for you. So if you are interested in checking it out, you will probably be able to, maybe. But otherwise, it will be free to play next year, I think is what they're aiming for, right? 2025.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and this is a partnership between NetEase Games and Marvel Games. And for the Disney fans out there, I think that means that this is technically not Disney affiliate. This is not the MCU. This is not Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. Is its own thing. Although I do think they got Yuri Lowenthal to be Spider-Man to kind of line up with the Spider-Man games like on PlayStation, which is interesting. But without any other preamble, let's kind of dive in. I'm curious about your takes on Marvel Rivals. Maybe Austin, do you want to start? Because you have your preview written out. You've had a month to marinate on your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still excited for it. It's how do I say this? I mean, it's just Overwatch, isn't it? But like, I kind of think Overwatch is fun, even if it irritates me at times, and it's nice to see like maybe a palette swap. But I think there's like a couple other things it has going for it. Like obviously it has the Marvel name with all the characters, so you're already very familiar with a lot of them. Though I kind of like how they throw in some characters that you don't expect, like Namor, and so yeah, there seems to be a cool roster going on. They have like an unlimited amount of characters they can pull from in the future too, and I really like the art style. I think that it's actually superior to Overwatch in that regard. And they actually just released a trailer that's like really cool, really stylish, and captures that like, I don't know, like almost hand-drawn looking style very well.
Yeah, so the trailer especially feels very anime.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty polished, fun experience, like a good alternative to Overwatch if you're a bit jaded. But like, don't go in expecting much beyond that so far. Maybe they'll have time to distinguish themselves, but there's a lot of characters that play like other Overwatch characters, and it's just like very hard to escape from those similarities.
Yeah. What about you, Stretch? How are you feeling about this game?
I 100% agree. It is just a palette swap Overwatch. As someone who never got the Overwatch craze, who's not a particularly massive fan of hero shooters, it's very clear to tell this is not the game for me. I'm a big Marvel fan, so I was interested to see coming into it maybe like what does it do different, what does it do that's like very unique to this. I think that the team attacks are a nice touch, but just that core gameplay loop is just so unappealing to me.
Now, if I
Wow.
recall, you said in our private chat it was boring, and there are a lot of things Overwatch is. It's infuriating sometimes. It's usually pretty fun, but I don't know if I would ever call it boring. So what? Not to put you on the spot, but what about this game
it's
called boring?
I mean, it does nothing new. It feels to me like there is no new ideas. That it is a game that has been done before and done before and done before at this point, but now it looks and sounds like Spider-Man.
Does it make you feel like Spider-Man?
Oh, that's a good question.
Um, not in particular. I mean, especially considering that there's better Spider-Man video game experiences out there to play.
That's
Is
true.
there though?
Yes.
Nah.
But yeah, it just, it was so like load into an area, wait 20 seconds for a wall to drop, go in, lather, rinse, repeat, healers that don't heal right, go through the whole song and dance so that I can watch a few bars go up and then repeat the same experience again and again and again. That's just not appealing to me.
I think you just don't like the online game formula of Overwatch, right? Like,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Just like as a game, that bores me. It does not feel like there is any like actual progression because it needs to remain balanced. It needs to remain static. But it there's very little incentive for me to keep playing. There's not going to be some greater point. There's not going to be any developing story outside of probably beautiful cinematics that are just going to be trailers for new characters. And I'll probably watch them anyway. Same with Overwatch. I love the lore of Overwatch. I love all of the cutscenes, like the character introductions and stuff. Those are all so fucking cool. And I remember even when they had like the original trailer that looked like, a scene from a Pixar film and about these kids getting saved and antagonistic forces. And then it's like, oh, it's a hero shooter where just anyone can be on anyone's team. The great battle you had, they might work really well on a team together, and that's just going to be part of the meta.
Yeah. I mean, I have hopes that Marvel Rivals will take the story part of it a little more seriously, or I guess more that they'll incorporate it a little bit more in the gameplay itself. Because I do think Overwatch, like I agree with you both, that it has great cinematics and the gameplay does not tell you anything about the cinematics. The closest it ever, and I've been an Overwatch junkie for the first like 2 years of it, and then kind of around Overwatch 2. So there's a middle chunk where I'm like, I don't know. But the only time I remember Overwatch being like, oh yeah, there's a story here, is when they were releasing Doomfist, and one of the maps they changed the spawn room to have a giant like crater in the wall because Doomfist punched it, and that's the closest it ever got to like, oh, the game is telling a story. Otherwise, I was like, you're just here to get the football to the other yard line or the other end zone. That's really it for Overwatch, right? Whereas with with Marvel Rivals, I think there is at least a tiny bit of you feel the storytelling happening in the match. I mean, it's going to get repetitive, obviously, if you play like 50 hours of this, right? It's the same story over and over, but I at least kind of understand why I'm trying to get the football through the goalpost. Like if you're trying to get the convoy to the other end, you're trying to help Spider Zero like open the timeline or whatever. Or if you're trying to stop it from happening, you're trying to defend the status quo, right? Like there's at least that kind of, okay, there's that motivation, right? It's samey every time, but at least it's there versus get the payload to the goal, period, dot,
Yeah. And I think one thing that Marvel Rivals has going for it is that it's just starting. And, Overwatch 2 has had, Overwatch in general has had years and years to, add to that formula. They really haven't done much with it.
Well, they changed it to 5v5, and that's been going swimmingly for them.
Yeah, now it's going back to 6v6 or something, right?
Well,
So
the director is like, maybe we should test out 6v6 again.
we're going backwards. I mean, I have some faith in Marvel Rivals that they can like do some new stuff once they have a nice baseline, which it feels like they do. Um, Again, tons of characters they can pull from, unlimited maps, like just so many different things in the Marvel universe that they can do. That it's unlimited potential if they do it right. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's like cliche right now that Marvel, like any Marvel property, does like multiverse stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel right for this game to be multiversal, because now you can like you're saying, Austin, like anything is possible, which is exactly what this kind of game needs.
Yeah. Did you? So I want to pivot, and you probably had a chance to play a lot of characters, if not all of them. Did you notice the parallels they had to Overwatch characters? Again, the comparisons, you just can't escape them.
Oh, you want to deep dive into that?
I think it would be interesting.
Okay, I feel like we're gonna leave Stretch behind for a bit.
Yeah, go for it. I know Overwatch character names. I know what's up.
Okay. Okay, so which ones are speaking to you the most, Austin? Because you seem very like you're ready. You've got some bullets in the chamber.
Yeah, well, the one that just seemed almost like illegal, and I'm not saying it is, but Scarlet Witch and Moira just played like way too similar. And I mean, I love Moira. I love playing as her, so playing as Scarlet Witch was fun. I immediately clicked because I knew exactly how the play style went, and it was kind of weird, Like
I see.
I'm just playing, Overwatch with a Marvel skin, which is fine.
Yeah.
What there was like, I don't know, like, well, obviously Star-Lord is like
Star-Lord is Tracer. That to me is the most 1-to-1. Like, I feel like even the way the pew 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 sounds that Star-Lord's guns make sounds like they took Tracer's pew 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 and like modulated it and threw a filter on it or something. Like, it sounds very close.
To be fair, Star-Lord had 2 pistols before Tracer.
Yeah, that's that's true.
But and I mean, it does fit his character. Punisher, I don't know, he kind of felt like a Soldier 76 ish character. He's got a couple of his own things going on. I think Iron Man felt a bit like Farah to me. Do you see that? I mean, they both float. They both have rockets.
Yeah.
Just similar play styles.
Like, I think for me, it's not that any one hero feels 1-to-1 like an Overwatch character. I think there's a lot of abilities they have where I'm like, oh, that's fair as this, that's Diva's that,
Yeah. Who was it? I can't remember her name because I'm just not really familiar with X-Men, but isn't she like Lucio?
Storm
character?
Maybe she has like ice.
Oh, are you talking Emma Frost or Emma Snow or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that's Luna Snow. Yeah, Emma Frost is an actual character. But no, Luna Snow I think is a unique character, like an original character created for Marvel Rivals, if I remember right. Yeah. And
isn't she just like Lucio? I played it last month, so I'm not as
no, never mind.
Date, but
she is not specific to this. She first came around in 2019.
Well, there you go. So she is very new, which okay, that makes sense. But there's like one character that just has like the auras and like skates around and dances like.
Yeah, well, I think it's her ult is when she has her ult, she gets an aura, but then also I think Mantis gets an aura when she ults too. And then Storm has that permanent aura that gives everyone a slight speed boost, right? So it's like that. It's like those sorts of things where I'm thinking, oh, that's Lucio's speed boost.
Yeah.
Right. And then both Luna Snow and Mantis, their aura is like Lucio's heal, right? I think of Magneto, and I think his primary feels like Sigma's primary.
And he kind of just looks like Sigma, doesn't he?
He does, but
or
then
Sigma looks like him,
Right, but then his shield functions a little more like Diva's barrier, or like the defense matrix, right? Where it's like it's on a timer instead of a like health. whereas Doctor Strange's shield feels like Reinhardt's shield, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like there's some kind of almost one-to-ones, but not quite. Because like Punisher seems like the obvious Soldier 76 pick, but then he can like spawn a turret that he can just be stationary at for maximum damage, or his ult is he's like a walking turret god, like no aimbotting, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Soldier 76 basically becomes like a walking turret with his, even if there's no auto aim. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think like if any character plays like Spider-Man. I just like, is there just there's just a very annoying fucking character in hero shooters, and I think Spider-Man's the one here. Much like I don't know, I kind of hate Tracer, and I know Star-Lord's like Tracer, but very annoying.
I mean,
annoying to play or annoying if someone
to
like
fight against,
is good at using them.
Man, when I was playing, all right, so like I said, I was going against these play testers, and this one fucking Spider-Man, he would not stop harassing me. I'm like, dude, I'm a journalist. I just got here to play. Shouldn't you give me some time to shine? But no, oh man, he hated me for some reason.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I'm of two minds with this game right now. So there's part of me that gets into like the competitive brain that's like, oh, you need a counter to Spider-Man, and I found Mantis is pretty decent at that because she has the sleep ability. So because like Spider-Man's whole goal, and same with Black Panther, right, and kind of Magic, is they all want to get up close to you so that way they can melee you to death. Yeah. But close range, her sleep ability is really easy to hit. So that's the perfect, just like shut that flanker down and go about your day, right? But that was the only counter I found. I haven't played too much. I only like just got to level 10, I think, which is maybe like handful of rounds. But so that's part of me where I'm like, I want to think that way. Or it's like, what can I counter the annoying enemy with? But on the other hand, I think one of the things that ruined Overwatch is competitive, like capital C competitive, where people get really into the meta and read all the patch notes.
Yeah.
And I think Marvel Rivals, it to me is the hero shooter that should just be about the fun. It shouldn't be about the like, oh no, they just nerfed Iron Man's E ability. He's useless. He's garbage. Switch to whoever. It's like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, this is Marvel, like one of the most well-known franchises in the world right now. Just have fun with it,
Yeah, it's easy to say that, but there's always going to be a bunch of competitive people, and like if they want the game to survive, I think they're probably going to have to cater to those tryhards a bit. But that doesn't mean they should like balance around that. I think they should kind of just do whatever they want, but there's obviously going to be like a competitive mode that a lot of people are going to play. I don't know. I've never dabbled with that.
Yeah. I mean, in the beta, there is competitive.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, like, because I've spent hundreds of hours in Overwatch, and I've only played like one or two competitive matches, and I was like, I don't care. I'm not sweaty enough for this. Like, I'd rather just have fun with it, because I think I do find a core fun mechanic in Overwatch. Like, it's rinse and repeat, but it's also like every match feels so different.
Yeah.
And I want that similar experience out of Rivals, maybe even more so, because it's like it feels like it's just for fun to me.
Yeah. No loot boxes, so that's good, right? I mean, I know that's illegal, but
there's a battle pass, right?
So
yeah, there's like the free track and then the premium track, which, I mean, they got to make money somehow. It is free to play.
Yeah, no. I mean, hopefully they do battle passes better than Overwatch, because it's been kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, before we even talk about like any potential characters that they could add, the number of skins that they would have access to for every single character would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like limitless.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it will be within a year that we start seeing MCU variant costumes showing up. We'll see future Foundation outfits for Spider-Man, and just they're gonna go ham. But it'll all be like it won't just be this is a costume that looks cool. It'll have that additional like nostalgia backing that will probably make the perceived value of a battle pass greater than if it was just what if your cowboy character was now an astronaut.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely like I'm not really a skins guy, so it never impacted me with Overwatch, but I did feel there's just it's like a thud usually when they're like it's the Mystic skin. Look, it's Sigma, but he looks like Space Hitler, and it's like, well, I don't care. Like, why would I care about that? But I could see Marvel having that like, oh, it's not just the Hulk anymore. It's the one where he's wearing the Milady hat, the fedora, and like the detective suit or something. Like there's an old Hulk skin that's like that.
I do not doubt anything that you're saying. I don't know what that is, but it must exist.
I mean, in the beta right now, there's like I think the second page of the battle pass, like the final skin for that is steampunk Iron Man.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, like that's cool. Like that's just a neat thing that maybe there's a Marvel nerd out there who's like, oh yeah, that's from the old run from 1982 where Tony Stark got sent back to the past and had to build it in a cave with his bare hands in steam. You know, like that could be a thing, and I think that's cool that it does that.
Yeah.
Yep, there is a line of Marvel comics called 1872, which took popular Marvel heroes and villains and reinvented them for the time period, including a steampunk Iron Man outfit.
There you go. And what year did it debut so that we can see if Robert actually just predicted?
No, I said 1982, right?
The Marvel 1872 series came out in 2015.
Wow. Yeah, you were off a couple years.
Just a couple years.
Just a couple.
But I don't know. I think I have fun with this game, and I do think it's very not balanced. Maybe that's why I don't want it to be competitive, because it's super not balanced. Because I think, like Stretch, you mentioned this earlier, the team attacks thing. I think that's maybe the most innovative thing. That's the thing that's the newest part of the Overwatch formula, if we're gonna call it that here, right? Where that is, if you pick 2 or 3 characters on your team that can synergize, they both or all 3 of them get either a unique passive or a unique active, sometimes both. A very popular example that I think absolutely busts the game completely is if you have Scarlet Witch and Magneto on your team. Scarlet Witch can buff Magneto's well, like he can press triangle on PlayStation to get like 5 seconds of just destroying the entire team, because it amps up his great sword or whatever. So normally his melee is just like he creates a giant magnetic sword and just swings it, and that's it. And it's fine. It's not really going to kill anyone. But then when you have this like period of imbued with the chaos energy of Scarlet Witch and you can swing your sword constantly, it's game over. Like it even shoots a wave like Link when he has full HP. So it's like no matter how far away you are, you're gonna like 2 hits kill almost anyone, and that is too broken. I feel even it's like on a 30-second cooldown, but it still feels way too broken.
Yeah.
But is that kind of just the equivalent of like the ultimate attacks, but they're just like trying to give you enough synergies to pull them off in a way that feels more team than just like showing up and like summoning a blue dragon?
Maybe, but I think it's the 30-second cooldown is way faster than your typical ult. I feel like it takes at least around a minute or so to generate ult if you're playing like semi decently, I feel like. So it does feel faster, like it has a quicker uptime. And then when I think of other team attack things, I'm like, that feels too strong. Because there's another one that's like if you play Rocket and Groot, right? Rocket, like it's just that Rocket can look at Groot and press a button and jump on Groot's back, and Rocket gets a small damage reduction. But then you can't move, like you're on Groot and you're just like a turret basically.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that doesn't feel like that's like Rocket can't really kill many people with this gun. Like he's not Punisher.
No,
So
but
it's like,
I think it's cool that they add those little unique touches to it. It just adds to the whole charm of the hero interactions.
Mhm.
I will also say that and I mean, this probably comes from me not being a capital C competitive person, is that I like games that are, even in multiplayer context, I like games that are a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah.
I think that it makes kind of things more interesting at times. Like, I know that I'm super excited and looking forward to the new Budokai Tenkaichi game.
Oh, same.
That game is famously imbalanced. You literally have characters who cannot fly, while other characters have 8 health bars. Um, but that's a fun thing, I think. And then that also means that when you know have those teams load in, it makes the synergy more important than just like, oh well, we need to have a tank. It's like, okay, but like if this person's, you know, duelist is this character and this person's tank is this, then, you know, is that going to be the best team up, or can someone else play something like who you main is always going to be very important, but who you second could also be very interesting for this,
Yeah.
and the way that you build a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it does have your typical like tank DPS and support kind of role breakouts. Um, I don't know. I still need to play more, but I do feel like it's still kind of important to have a good um
Spread.
spread of the three on your team. Like if you don't have any supports, you're not going to get any heals and you will die probably. But I don't know. It still seems early to say for sure. But also like you're saying, I think there's just the fun in like I'm just playing with some Marvel heroes that I like, and there's some cool synergies happening, and I'm enjoying that, and that's
Like
pretty cool.
picking up your action figures and smashing them against each other.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like like I think Adam Warlock is a great healer to an extent, and he can like snipe people, which is cool. But then his passive or his synergy, I think, feels a little underwhelming for the game, because it's the one where it's like if you play him and Mantis and or Star-Lord, Mantis and Star-Lord can like respawn when they die, like immediately. You can just like they can revive themselves, which is like cool, but it's also a really slow revival. And most of these games rely on, if you're with your team, you'll do better. And the time it'll take for you to revive, probably your team's going to be dead anyway at that point. So that feels underwhelming too, again, compared to just Magneto's really OP synergy, you know?
Yeah, one thing they need to be careful of though, because like I said, they're going to cater to competitive players to some extent, is that like they shouldn't have it so that these synergies are like so powerful that they become the meta and that people get like angry that you're not playing as somebody that synergizes with their character. But I can totally see that happening.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's my worry with capital C competitive games in this, is that it's just going to funnel into the meta, which is these synergies.
Yeah.
I think it's also very interesting in the characters that they've put in. Kind of all of the characters have shown up recently in either the video games or the MCU, aside from, you know, Luna Snow. But I think that that's just they want a K-pop star so that they can be like League of Legends.
Yeah, I think so too.
But it is you know very smart for them to have pulled so many big characters, and then it, you know, kind of makes me wonder who will be next, because you know it'll probably be around the time that the beta ends that we probably start to hear about new characters, or is that going to be Doom?
Well, they are adding Thor and Jeff to the beta.
Jeff the Shark.
Today, yes, Jeff the
Okay.
Shark. So they're already adding like characters to be tested, but I guess I don't know if that falls in with like new characters since they're going to be in the beta.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that is maybe the tricky thing they're going to run into, is that what's the phrase, ludonarrative dissonance or whatever, right? It's like there's some characters that if they add them, like I'm trying to think of like Captain America, right? When they add him, is he going to be a duelist or the DPS, right? Because part of me is like, with the shield, he should be a tank, but then you've already got Doctor Strange kind of doing the big shield thing already, right? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
but I
That
mean, like,
it's a creative challenge for NetEase to figure out.
characters in Overwatch have shields. Like, multiple characters have shields, so it's like
That's true.
they can do something different with it.
Yeah, I guess are we going to see, like, would we not ever see like a red Hulk because there's already a Hulk if like the power sets are too close?
Yeah.
How
I
can
feel
you
like that'd be like a
reinvent?
skin, maybe. You know?
Well, it could be a skin, but then it's like, but in Marvel, it's not just a skin; it makes them stronger. You know, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like for the most part, though, they have a pretty decent roster right now, at least in terms of gameplay. I'm sure there's like, Marvel fans who like Wolverine would be cool to see here, right? Or I don't know, maybe like the rest of the Avengers too. Like, could you imagine Hawkeye being in this? Kind of a long range sniper bow
Yeah.
type of character would be cool.
Yeah, I could see literally anybody. I mean, like I said, they're doing like smaller characters. I didn't know who the hell Jeff was until like
Same.
a day ago. So, I mean, what is it? Is it like, what's the duck from?
Howard?
Yeah, like what if they just add Howard?
They could add Howard the Duck.
They could.
Yeah.
I wonder. They would. They would probably, of the characters who tend to break the fourth wall. I imagine we will see Deadpool in this before we see Howard the Duck, because they do, ironically, have a very similar power set.
I'm sure they're gonna save Deadpool for like later, just to keep people's interest, because I think people seeing Deadpool, like, they would definitely come and play the game if they dropped off of it. There are a lot of Deadpool fans out there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this weekend would be the weekend to add Deadpool if they wanted to,
Well,
right? 'Cause, like, with the
yeah,
movie. But
true.
I mean, so that's why they're going to save it for later, I think.
I think that is very true as well. They can save a lot of very big and very like interesting characters in their back pocket. And if they notice a dip, it's like, okay, cool. Let's, in case of emergency, break glass, and it's, Wolverine or another major character.
Yeah. Though I guess, to play devil's advocate, do we all remember the PlayStation Advantage with Marvel's Avengers? Not even Spider-Man could save that game.
Yeah, but that's
It also took like 2 years for Spider-Man to show up, didn't it?
Yeah, it took a while. That PlayStation Advantage was taking its sweet time.
that's a different game, and oh god, I almost forgot about it.
And I think that doesn't the PlayStation get a special Spider-Man skin in Marvel Rivals?
Maybe. I don't know.
How would that work? Because is there like cross-platform like
It's
progression? So
I don't know about progression, but there is cross-platform play.
okay, well, it would be nice if like you could play on PC and then like hop on the console or something, just to have different options. But
That would be nice.
Yep. There's a Scarlet Spider costume that is a PlayStation 5 exclusive.
PlayStation Advantage. Hell yeah.
Fucking Sony, man.
They're milking it for everything they can.
Really though, that is insane how much they are milking the PlayStation Advantage.
And they're holding Spider-Man hostage, and they've been doing that for years.
Oh, I could see them also releasing like Miles Morales around whenever the Spider-Verse 3 comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but again, like, how would you create? I guess Miles Morales has the Venom
He's
stuff.
got a unique skill set. Like, they've fleshed him out enough in comics, games, movies.
Then they get into the same issue that they had in the Marvel Spider-Man 2 video game, that you have a character named Venom, and you have a different character whose abilities are labeled Venom.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Also, can we talk about how OP Venom feels in Rivals? I guess I don't know if either of you have played enough of it with the recent
not really a
to
tank player,
kill.
so I didn't play him.
I
Actually,
mean, he can like dive bomb into your team, take a fuck ton of damage, and then press a button that gives him like triple his health as a shield. So, and like the lower your health, the more health you generate. So it's kind of, it feels like a
oh yeah,
lot of
Interesting.
damage you can soak
A
up.
high risk, high reward play.
Yeah, but then it's like if you're good at hitting, even if you're at like at 25%, you regenerate so much temporary health that it's like it feels broken.
that sounds pretty dope. I mean, I do like Venom as a character in
Hmm.
comics and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely have to take a look at him. Hey, there's another skin that Sony could hold hostage. Something with Venom.
To give him a red skin and call it like Carnage Venom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really does feel from the gameplay like they know the power of their IP, and they know that Overwatch and that formula is a proven formula. And then they just said, okay, send it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and then it's pretty good timing too, with Overwatch itself kind of feeling like it's flailing its limbs a little.
Yeah, I
Overwatch
mean,
has got to be one of the most fumbled like franchises in gaming, and I say that as a Halo fan.
Mhm.
oh yeah.
Just to have seen Overwatch at its height come crashing down with 2, and now the way that they're just reverse engineering the first Overwatch out of Overwatch 2 is just, it's baffling. It's shocking. It's so confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think it is funny how they're like, we're testing out 6v6. And I'm like, okay, what about the first like 5 years of 6v6? How did that go for you?
Hmm.
But I don't know, because yeah, it's definitely in a weird space now. Because I think that's the thing. Like Overwatch kind of died by 1,000 cuts of its like trying to perfectly balance, as all things should be. Thanos definitely is going to show up at some point in this, right? In Marvel Rivals. Anyway,
I would assume so, yeah.
It's just because
Yeah.
Snap and everybody on the field does,
exactly.
or no,
That's all.
half of the team, or
Yeah.
something.
Half of the team, but it's his own team.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just anybody. It's just half of the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's death by 1,000 cuts because they were trying. An Overwatch team was trying to balance it so perfectly for Overwatch League and pro play, competitive play, right? Where, because I guess with the 5v5 moment, what they did there is they made it so 1 tank was required, not 2. And when you think about that from a balance perspective, that 1 tank needs to do double 2 tanks worth of effort to contribute to the team as much as they did in precedent, right? So then they like did a bunch of different things, like maybe we'll make the tanks feel like mini raid bosses where they have like really a lot of health and can generate a lot of health and shields and whatever. And it's like they did that didn't feel that fun, so they nerfed the tanks a bit. Now the tanks feel useless, so they're back to the raid boss thing, and now they're back to like maybe 6v6 is the way to go. So I don't know. That's why I think Overwatch is in this weird space where Marvel Rivals is coming in at a time where it has that opportunity to kind of eat Overwatch's lunch, right? Especially with the name recognition.
Yeah, I think I probably said this before, but a lot of people are jaded with Overwatch. I can see a lot of people going over to Marvel Rivals, and because of the similarities, they'll probably like it a lot. Guess we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's just it's a dumb, silly, fun little competitive, or not competitive, hero shooter, right? Like it's easy to just jump into a game, kind of learn the basics of a character, and you'll probably contribute at least a little bit to the match, you know? And like there's kind of someone for everyone. Like if you come from like a third person shooter, Gears of War space, like just play Punisher. Just play. He's easy. Just he's just third person shooters, your classic aim the gun and shoot, you know? Yeah.
And then you just got to watch out for the giant green dude running at you.
Yeah. I guess Hulk is kind of like Diva. Now I think of it, like in the way that like if you lose the Hulk form, you go to Bruce Banner. You have to like generate your ult again to go back into Hulk form.
Wait, isn't there a character in like a mech?
There is, but she doesn't like lose
She
her
doesn't
mech.
get out of the mech. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
vague.
Diva kind of like Diva's useless when it's just Diva. In the same way, Bruce
Yeah,
Banner's kind of useless when he's just Bruce Banner.
He's got a
Hmm.
little pistol. That's something.
Same as Diva.
Where was he storing that pistol on his Hulk body? I wonder.
That's a good question.
Actually, yeah. When Hulk shrinks down, he is wearing a button-down shirt. So some questions there for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, they should make a shirtless Bruce Banner, right? It should be like you spawn as Bruce and you have the shirt, but then
He has
when you
like
lose the Hulk
super
form,
big pants, and they're
Yeah.
just like trailing behind him because the legs are so long.
yeah.
And then he pulls the pistol out of somewhere,
That would be great.
a crevice.
So if we're done and analyzing Marvel Rivals, moving to the other superhero camp, I had a chance last week to check out the new Batman TV show that's coming out. This is
There's
the
a new
Batman
Batman TV
Caped
show?
Crusader
Oh
animated
yeah.
one. You know, and just like a little mini kind of review. I think they did a really good job with the first season. It is very much vibes of like Batman Year One. It's set in a kind of anachronistic time. It kind of feels like the 40s or the 50s, but like the Batcave is just like a glass whiteboard with the map of Gotham on it and a desk and a small bookshelf and some vials and tubes and stuff. It's very much like there's no all powered bat computer that sits like 100 feet tall in front of him and he's fighting mobsters and stuff. They've got some really cool takes on some of the villains. The internet is going to be so normal about the Penguin, for sure. There's going to be no weirdness whatsoever.
Go on.
That in this one, the Penguin is I've forgotten what her first name is, but they have gender bent the Penguin, and she is like she has a tall muscle mommy build to her. Like still wears like the suit and tails. But the first time you see her, she's like singing a cabaret number at a policeman ball.
Oh hell yeah.
And I just know that the internet is not going to be fucking. It's going to be bad.
Well, you know, comic book fans are historically very nice on the internet. Rarely are vocal and loud about any of their displeasure.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I've never seen a comic book fan type the word actually. Now I think about it.
But it's cool. The first season is 10 episodes. I think it's all going to be dropping August 3rd on Prime. But I definitely recommend checking it out.
Hell yeah.
There's some fun Easter eggs in later episodes and stuff, but I won't go too into that.
That's like this weekend then. At the time that the listener will be hearing this weekend, right, is when it drops.
Yeah.
August 3rd.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very soon.
You know, now that you say that, that is making me think. I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy the Marvel Rivals fandom.
Just don't engage.
I just think because yeah, you've got the toxic competitive sweaty gamers, and then totally normal comic book fans.
No, it's just not worth getting into like any fandom nowadays.
Potentially, yeah.
That is opening up a can of worms you don't want.
But I think that's a good place to wrap for this week's episode of the TechRaptor podcast. We talked all about Marvel, my favorite Marvel hero, Batman, especially. That was fun to talk about. But do you have any last thoughts, either of you, about either Marvel Rivals or the Batman Cape Crusader?
I think with Marvel Rivals, they have successfully, aped the formula, and they have the star power of the Marvel brand. I can't imagine this failing. And I'm sure that we are going to be hearing about it for years to come.
I'll give a shout out to Suicide Squad Isekai, actually airing on Hulu right now.
The other Marvel property we all love.
Yes. It has Harley Quinn, everybody's favorite Spider-Man villain.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's an anime. It's fun. It's Suicide Squad in a fantasy world. Check it out if you're interested in more superhero stuff.
Hell yeah. I'm just excited to see what they do with Doctor Doom in Marvel Rivals. That like I hope they go with funny Doom, but we'll see. It seems more serious, but
My guess is with the same way that a lot of the characters are lining up with what they've been doing in the MCU, and that Doom and Secret Wars is on the horizon. I have a feeling that it's going to be more towards the brooding superpower leaning into like God Emperor Doom
probably.
versus just like a campy fucking cloak waving Doom.
Yeah, I mean, in that story trailer, they were like the past and present Doctor Dooms are like they're merging or they're doing something to bring the time streams together, break them apart, or something. I don't know. But you know, classic comic book shit. You know what this stuff is. It's comic book shit. But that does it for this week's episode of the TechRaptor podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a comment if you're listening on YouTube or on Spotify. I think Spotify just added the ability to comment. On podcast episodes. So let us know down below if you're playing the beta, how do you feel about it, or who do you hope they add to the beta or the full game of Marvel Rivals? Who's your secret pick for a hero that you'd love to see in there? We'd love to know. And hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Thumbs up on YouTube, 5-star rating on Spotify. All of those things would help. They just help us be a little more visible. And we also do a newsletter every week. If you want to catch up on the news, you know, if you don't have time to look every day, every Friday, it'll be in your inbox. It's a lot of fun. But otherwise, we will be back in your feed next Wednesday, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.
See you.